us up with a crucial Western clash with playoff implications on the line. With the Bombers lost last night, the Roughriders with a chance to secure a home playoff game. And Riders faithful, they're going to do all they can tonight at a packed Mosaic. BC, Saskatchewan coming up on TSN. Let's start with the bad news, shall we? Brock Armstead still dealing with that shoulder injury, but the good news, look who's back for the first time since August the 17th. A.J. Ouellette finally back in front of the Riders faithful. And let's stick with the running backs now. William, please stand back. We're going to run all over the Riders tonight and keep the Lions' home playoff hopes alive. Great news, too, for BC. Alex Hollins also returning to this lineup. Big news for Nathan Rourke this evening in a huge clash in the West as we welcome you inside the CFL on TSN. Kate Burness alongside Enoch Mwamba, Jim Barker, Milt Stiegel as we get set for BC taking on Saskatchewan. Milt, key matchups in this game for you.
The man you just spoke of, Nathan Rourke. And it's not against anybody on the opposing team's defense, but against his own head coach, Rick Campbell. If Nathan Rourke is struggling, if this team is struggling, if they're down, knowing that you have VA on the sideline, will he take him out and put VA in? That's the matchup I'm looking at.
See, I see this game. We're in championship football time now. It's all about physicality, and you're going to find that with the Saskatchewan defensive line, Lanier and company against that offensive line of BC. That's going to tell the tale on who's going to win this game, Enoch.
I like that defensive line, and I'm looking. That defensive line is going to help Roland Milligan Jr. because my matchup is going to be between him and Mr. 1,000-plus yards, Justin McGinnis.
Yeah.
The last time he had over 100 yards was against Saskatchewan as well, back in July. I'm looking forward to that matchup.
And, Coach, I'm a lot more comfortable, by the way, that you're talking about the offensive line again.
Yeah.
You get away from it. I really just don't like it. But a monster game for both of these teams. Earlier game, obviously, with no playoff implications on the line, but this one huge, especially with that Bombers game last night and the Toronto Argonauts picking up that huge victory. But this should be an interesting one, to say the least. We will get you to Mosaic. It is a packed house this evening. Riders, Lions coming up next. Agatha Pratt of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. This is your chance to win big thanks to Save on Foods' $1 million touchdown to win. If the kickoff is returned for a touchdown, you could win groceries for a year. If two kickoffs are returned for touchdowns in this game, you could also win $1 million. Good luck, Agatha. Let's get you to Regina and join Rod Smith and Glenn Suter.
And Kate, we welcome everyone to a beautiful autumn afternoon at Mosaic Stadium, where the Roughriders are hoping to host a playoff game next month. They will if they win this game, but the BC Lions, Glenn, have something to say about that. 2 games left. If they win them both, they get to host the West semifinal. A lot depends on Nathan Rourke, who's certainly shown flashes of the brilliance he had a couple of years ago, looking for more consistency.
Well, Nathan Rourke back in 22 was on pace when he was injured right here at Mosaic Stadium after 10 games for over 6,000 yards passing. Now, in order to get back to that form, he's got to eliminate mistakes. Hasn't thrown an interception in 3 games. Trevor Harris is on top of his game. He has a 3-game winning streak going and averaged over 300 yards in each of them.
Yeah, 3 straight wins for Corey Mace's Riders. They can clinch at least second in the West with a win. They still have an outside chance at first. Rick Campbell's Lions in the playoffs for a 3rd straight year, coming off a victory over Calgary. They got them back to 500 at 8-8. The Riders won the toss. They have deferred, and the Lions will get the ball first. Terry Williams is back there. Both of these teams have clinched a playoff spot. Both have something to play for. As mentioned, both thinking about a home playoff date. This one begins in Week 19, Mosaic Stadium. Brett Lothar the kick. Terry Williams with the ball at the 25, and he gets up around the 40, just shy. Nathan Rourke, 3-4 as a starter since coming back from the NFL. And just over 1,500 yards passing.
A couple of nice wins, one in Victoria against Ottawa, and then the very next week traveled to Montreal, best team in the league record-wise, and beat the Alouettes there, but has not been right on top of his game. At least the game we remember back in 2022. He has eliminated mistakes over the last 3 weeks, as I mentioned. 0 interceptions.
The running back, 31, William Stanback beside him. Takes the ball in the 1st and 10, and a helmet comes flying off as he gets up for about a 5-yard pickup. C.J. Rivas in there on the tackle. It's Stanback's hat.
Good news for the offense for the BC Lions. They get their starting left tackle back in Jarrell Broxton. Missed 4 games. And they need that starter back to secure the edges. And a 4-yard lead for Justin McInnes for the title in the receiving category. Ahead of Justin Hardy.
Just ahead of Hardy. So 5 for Stanback. A 2nd and 5 here for Rourke. Looking to throw it, and he does, but no, it is not caught. And
still alive.
Off. A.J. Allen has it in his hands, and he's taking it back for a Roughrider touchdown. What a start for the green and white as it bounced in and out of the hands of William Stanback and ultimately into the hands of A.J. Allen, getting to start in this game because of an injury to Adam O'Clair.
Riders won the toss and deferred to the second half. They wanted to play defense first. The throw was outstanding from real high percentage throw from Rourke, but it was just juggled there by Stanback. Now, did it hit the ground? It hit his heel. Stayed alive. Of course, it was Roland Milligan keeping that ball alive. The first guy to tip it up. And that is an interception by A.J. Allen, who was a last-second add here with Adam O'Clair, a scratch in warm-up.
What a bizarre deflection off the foot, inadvertently off the heel of Stanback to keep the ball active. You've never seen anything like that.
Well, watch Roland Milligan come in. He sees it. He tips it up, almost has his 9th, but it ends up in the hands of 32, and he takes it to the house. What a start to get the crowd in it here in Saskatchewan.
Does it ever. A.J. Allen in his 3rd year at Guelph, one of the leaders in special teams, but they're a great defensive play. And the point after try from Brett Lothar, who has yet to miss a point after try so far this season. And we got a stunning and sudden 7-0 lead for the home team, the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
And a tailback still shaking his head, trying to get rid of that last one. I mean, the chances of dropping it is one thing. The chances of it hitting his heel in Stanback as he went out there. But again, you know, sometimes it's amazing how lucky you get as a defensive player when you hustle. And when you hustle, it's amazing how lucky you get. And you could say, well, A.J. was lucky. I mean, A.J. Allen just happened to be, no, he hustled to the play, wanted to get in on the tackle, and because of that hustle, the ball was there for him, and he takes it to the house. What a start. Wow.
Just crazy. When it looked like an easy catch for Stanback, he couldn't hang on. It looked like an incompletion, and yeah, just a nightmare for the Lions. And 31 as 32, green and white, takes it to the house in a 48-yard return for A.J. Allen. So Williams, who just did this, is back for another kickoff return and a 7-0 Rider lead. Mentioned if the Riders can win this game, they clinch at least 2nd place in a home playoff date. Here's Williams out to the left and across the 40, 45 now as he's forced out of bounds there by Jackson Ford.
Now you got to forget that. Short memory time for William Stanback. He's got to just let that one go. He will. He's a veteran. 6 years in the Canadian Football League, 1,000-yard rusher. Huge add to the BC Lion offense. So Stanback, I'm sure, will just let that one go, get back into it.
starting at weak side linebacker for the injured Adam O'Clair. Suffered a knee injury last week. What a start. 1st and 10, BC 47. Nathan Rourke back to work. Throwing again off to the right. It is caught. Aiden Eberhard has it. Eberhard, his second year out of Wyoming, and a first down for the Lions.
This is Corey Mace's starting defensive line from the beginning of the season. This is a group that he wanted, and the leader in that group, Micah Johnson, 6 sacks so far this season. Now the Adam O'Clair change means that A.J. Allen, who's already made an impact, is in the lineup in the starters group, and Deontay Williams is back after a suspension. Roland Milligan will get to.
Play action fake with time. Rourke over the middle. It's intercepted. Deontay Williams, you just brought up his name, back from suspension, and it is Saskatchewan ball, but they're ruling he was down at about the Rider 33. 2 Lions possessions, 2 interceptions, 1 that went for a touchdown. Saskatchewan ball here. Deontay Williams had to sit. Saskatchewan pick. Rider football up 7. The ruling on the field here was an interception by Deontay Williams. Suits, have another look. Did he catch this ball?
Well, the one angle looked like he may have got some help from the ground, although both hands are underneath. The command center has taken a look through the break.
Here's the ruling.
After automatic review by the command center, the ruling on the field has been overturned to an incomplete pass. Second down.
So it looked close. So second down coming up. The Rider offense had been on the field. Now the defense has to come back on. You see Nathan Rourke, but that close, and it looked at first glance like the right arm was always underneath the football.
Well, and the command center will automatically, on a turnover, review it without a challenge necessary. So Rick Campbell didn't have to challenge that for the command center to take a look at it. They decided that it hit the ground, and it'll be second down BC.
So good break for Nathan Rourke and the Lions. They keep the ball a 2nd and 10. They're in the Rider zone at the 52.5 of Saskatchewan. Crowd picking up. Rourke again has time to the left. That is caught. Stanley Berryhill, and he is hit immediately by Marcus Sales coming in, taking him down. 3rd down coming up.
Yeah, he closes quickly, doesn't he? I mean, Rourke chooses to go to the flat here to Berryhill, who's in a different position than last week because Alexander Hollins is back in the lineup. But Berryhill, he gets a shot to the chest from Marcus Sales. 4 interceptions on the season for Sales. Had a great second half of the year.
Against his former team, Sales had some time with the BC Lions. Here's the punt now from Stephen Flintoff. Ariel Alford lets it hop. It heads into the end zone, and looks like the first point of this game will be scored as he takes a knee after a 56-yard punt by Stephen Flintoff, and a rouge on the board for BC.
I think Trevor Harris may be playing some of his best football since returning from injury, and keep in mind that Harris was not available due to the early injury in the season the last time these two teams played back in July. That was a win by the BC Lions in Vancouver. Trevor Harris didn't play in that game. He's been red hot over the last 3 weeks.
Certainly has. Missed 6 games. He's been great. Statistically, best QB in the CFL since he came back, since week 11. And 7 yards shy of passing for 3,000 this season. And he's throwing here. It is caught. And it is Duncan Busby. Duncan Busby, who does have more than the 7, so that puts Harris over 3,000. With his 5th different team, he's reached the 3,000-yard mark.
Yeah, he's got a lot of experience, doesn't he, Ron? You take a look at those 6 300-yard passing games, bunch of them right out of the gate when the Riders opened up with a 4-0 start to this campaign, and then have won their last 3. So, again, we've watched Harris for a lot of years. I think he may be playing his best ball right now.
Saw the number at 29.93, but he's added to that, as mentioned, to go over 3,000 for the season, taking the handoff to A.J. Ouellette. And then he throws it Ouellette's way, who is greeted immediately by Ben Hladek for, looks like a loss of a yard or 2.
Now, there's been a lot of change up front for this offensive line. Rotating guards. It's Zach Fry out of Western and Jacob Brammer out of Vanderbilt that will start in this one tonight. And yeah, the return of starting tailback A.J. Ouellette. We'll see what he can bring to the run game for Coach Mueller.
Well, they give him actually about a foot, so it's 2nd and 9.5. Ouellette's last game was Harris's first one back here in August against Montreal. And Harris scrambling to the left, finds an open receiving 2. It's back to the rookie. Duncan Busby has the catch and another Saskatchewan first down.
That's what we mean about the composure and the vision of Trevor Harris, his experience. As soon as he breaks contain, he sees Betts on the inside move, doesn't even have to look at the line to feel that, then bounces outside, and Duncan Busby down the field into his zone defense gets a new set of downs.
Gain of 18 for number 18. Dell Duncan Busby, first year out of Bemidji State, and drafted in the 3rd round, 23rd overall. They're inside the BC 40 now at the 39, 1st and 10. There's the first carry by A.J. Ouellette in a couple of months, and he picks up a couple of yards. Ouellette still, with all the time away, the leading rusher for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Lots of sacks for that front 7 for the BC Lions, but Matthew Betts just has 1. That was his first game. He does, though, have a 70-yard pick 6 from last week against Calgary. And speaking of scoring on defense, TJ Lee with a scoop and score in that game. And with TJ Lee up in the linebacking core in the front 7, Gary Peters becomes the veteran in the back end.
Boy, that defense took care of the scoring and helped them pull away from Calgary last week with no offensive touchdowns for BC. Defense had 2. 2nd and 8. Harris over the middle and knocked away. Ryder Varga got a mid on it. Knocked that one down.
You know, he's comfortable here in Saskatchewan. Former University of Regina Ram with nice drop here. Good depth on this drop with Stearns coming over the middle. Just read the throw, and throwing action from Trevor Harris makes a nice knockdown. Or I should say, pass defended.
Pass defended.
Knockdowns happen at the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Pass defended.
Brett Lawther has made 20 of his last 21 field goals going back to week 12. And we'll try here from 45 yards away. And he gets it through again. It's a 21 of 22 most recently for Brett Lawther. And it gives the Riders the lead going down. Well, they had it with the touchdown on defense, and then adding to it now with 10 on the board. The two head coaches, Corey Mason, Rick Campbell, who know there's a pretty good chance these two teams will meet again in the West semifinal. Not guaranteed, though. But if Saskatchewan loses today, Winnipeg is guaranteed first place. Then it comes down to who gets home field. The Lions need, well, if they win their last 2, they're guaranteed it. Saskatchewan would get at least second place if they win. So, you know, these two teams have a playoff spot. But still, there's a lot to play for, wanting that home playoff date. Lions football down by 9 and handing off 2 to William Stanback. That pickup getting it up to around the 45. That bizarre play and a drop ball that went off his heel into the hands of A.J. Allen for the lone touchdown of this game.
Well, and, you know, home field in football is so important. I mean, it really is. And I don't have the stats in front of me going back 20, 30 years about hosting the semi or hosting the final. But I guarantee you that the home team has the edge. And this crowd's going to make it tough on Nathan Rourke here to get that home field advantage.
2nd and 5 after that pickup by Stanback. The crowd, of course, really picking up with the opposing offense on the field, throwing. First down, Berryhill and more. Stanley Berryhill gets it across midfield and into the Rider zone.
This Rider defense mentioned they've really got the guys up front back. I mean, Adam LeClaire has been a big part of the defense over the last few weeks, and he's out, but they get C.J. Reeves back a couple of weeks ago, and their D-line is intact.
Down to the Rider 52. Nathan Rourke and a 4-man rush. They get him. Coming in is Caleb Sanders with the sack of Nathan Rourke. Sanders with his 3rd sack of the season.
This is a physical group up front, including in the rotation. Caleb Sanders is one of those rotation guys. He'll come in and spell off Micah Johnson or Miles Brown. Sanders gets home. That's his 3rd of the campaign. And this is a matchup that I know the panel talked about before the game. Can this BCO line hold that D-line of the Riders.
He's been a great addition to that Saskatchewan defense up front. Caleb Sanders, 2nd and 18 after that loss. Rourke with time to the right to stand back. And back across midfield and down near the Rider 50, but still well shy of a first down. 3rd down coming up BC.
No, Stefan Flintoff is looking for an angled kick here. He doesn't want to put it in the end zone and give Trevor Harris decent field position. That was just a decision to kind of limit the damage here after the sack for the Lions.
Mario Alford back. Averaging just under 10 punt return this season. Flintoff's last one rolled into the end zone. He's trying to keep it a little shorter, and it's down to the 20. Just a 30-yard punt by Flintoff there, and a 5-yard return for Alford. Back comes Trevor Harris. The one touchdown of the game scored by Saskatchewan's defense. 10-1, Riders lead at first quarter, Mosaic. Another solid addition to the Roughriders this year, receiver Keyshawn Johnson.
Well, back-to-back games with over 100 yards receiving for Keyshawn Johnson. You know, I think his switch game, the game where he sort of figured it out speed-wise, the angles, the big field, the motions, all those things, were back about 5-6 weeks ago against Montreal. He had 90 yards in that game and a touchdown, and then went 4 straight games with a touchdown, just built his confidence. And Keyshawn Johnson has been #1 target for Trevor Harris over the last 3 weeks.
Had a great catch last week against Edmonton, 5 in all for 103 yards and a touchdown. And that Rider victory, Keyshawn Johnson. There's A.J. Ouellette back in the lineup for the first time in 2 months and doing A.J. Ouellette things as he puts his head down and charges up to the Rider 40.
Had a really good conversation with A.J. Ouellette this week and talked to him about what he might have learned from watching from the sideline through his injuries. And he talked about patience. And when I get the ball, I want to be a little bit more patient and press the line of scrimmage rather than hit it full speed every single time.
He had a nagging hip injury, missed a couple of games, came back in week 11 against Montreal, and then aggravated the injury. So it took a long time off, went on the 6th game, and says he is 100% healthy now.
Yeah, probably came back a little soon, but he's that type of guy. I mean, he's that if the leg is still intact, like it's still there, unless it absolutely fell off, he wants to play.
Right.
So, and I'm sure he talked the training staff in. I'm sure he talked Corey Mason to play in early. It wasn't quite right. He couldn't cut properly, so they gave him another 4 or 5 games.
So it's a 2nd and 8 now after a 2-yard pickup by Ouellette for Harris, throwing, and it is caught, and then outside the 50. And another first down for Saskatchewan. Jarrett Stearns with the pickup.
Trips into the boundary, little curl route. Tough to play straight zone defense against Trevor Harris. I think, I don't care what team you are, you play zone against Trevor, he's going to find the hole.
Finds it there for a first down, up to the 52 of the Riders, back to Ouellette. Turns it back left, little straight arm, putting his head down, and another good pickup by A.J. Ouellette in his first game back since mid-August as he gets it inside the Lions zone, inside their 50.
Talked about working with Andrew Harris in Toronto and remembered his conversations with Andrew about pressing the line. Good stiff arm twice in a row there on that run off the left side.
First few seasons with the Argos, won a Grey Cup on this field with Toronto 2 years ago. His first year now in Saskatchewan after signing a free agent deal, and very happy to be back in the action on a 2nd down and 2, but not much there. Manny Rugamba coming in, and Timo Tabai as well, and Ben Hladek to gang up to see if they can stop him from getting that first down, and they do. 3rd and short coming up.
No hesitation from Corey Maso at this point. BC side of half field here for him to go for it on 3rd and 1. It's a long one, though. Not guaranteed.
So Shane Patterson comes in for the short yardage. Patterson with Harris out for 6 weeks. got a good chunk of starts, including one at BC Place the last time these two teams met back in mid-July.
It's a full yard.
With Emelis in motion, and then going to the right behind Emelis was Patterson. They had something drawn up, and they just needed about a foot, so they do pick up the first down for Saskatchewan.
Wow, that's gutsy on Shea Patterson's part to go straight down the line of scrimmage. If Gary Peters shoots the gap here and doesn't hesitate, he gets a kick-out block, so that's part of it. But Ace Ely thought he had turned him back, but Patterson had the first down. Gutsy, though. Go along the line of scrimmage like that.
Bit of a different wrinkle than short yardage there for Saskatchewan, which pays off, gets it to the Lions 47, a 10-1 lead. Looking for more. And Harris quickly. Keyshawn Johnson with a flag coming out as Johnson gets what would be enough for a first down to the Lion 35.
I think that's coming back. I think that's coming back. It looked like one of the Rider receivers was offside by a couple of yards. It might have been Schaefer Baker. Well, we'll see. Maybe there's early movement up.
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 19. 5-yard penalty. We'll repeat first down.
Sam Emelis. Emelis is right here. He's there, but I think Schaefer Baker at the bottom was too. There was a couple of receivers that were a couple of yards past the line of scrimmage.
This receiving corps certainly tested for its depth with all the injuries they've had, but getting healthy now with one big exception, of course, Sean Bain. Sorry to hear that his season is over. He had posted that earlier this week. Bain injured a couple of weeks ago. 1st and 15 from the BC 52 now for Trevor Harris in a 4-man rush, and he gets it off there to a left. One-handed brings it down as Ace Ely is hauling him down, gets some of the yardage back to about the 45 with the 2nd and long still coming up.
Yeah, but that was a big catch for Ouellette because, you know, 2nd and 15, very difficult. Now you got 2nd and 8, 7 possibly because Ouellette tips it to himself. It looked like that play was in trouble.
So get 7 of it back. So a 2nd and 8 is coming up here for Saskatchewan. Over 5 minutes have gone by on this drive. We're getting late in the first quarter now. For Harris, looking to throw again and does. And in traffic, and chance for an interception there for Ben Hladek and the Lions. So 3rd and 8 now at the BC 45. As we assume Brett Lawther will be coming back on.
Well, this BC Lion linebacking core, whether it would be Ryder Varga in a rotation or Ben Hladek, who's starting at will linebacker, they've had a chance at a couple of picks here. Trevor Harris trying to fit it in a tight window, and veteran linebacker and younger one in his 2nd year in Varga making defensive plays.
Lawther had a 50-yarder last week in Edmonton. He is 3 for 7 from 50 plus. 1 for 1 on the night. Adam Korsak putting it down. This one over 50 yards. And through it goes. Has enough. 3 more points on the board. Lawther goes 2 for 2. TJ Lee with the Guardian cap now. And a big game last week against Calgary. We'll have more on him coming up. The CFL on TSN for Mosaic. It was a close one in the 4th quarter against Calgary for the Lions. Then the defense took over. First, Matthew Betts showing off his speed for a defensive end to take it in for a touchdown. And then after that, to help put things away for BC was the veteran TJ Lee playing strong side linebacker and picking up that for a scoop and score. Let's go down to the field and say hello to Britt Dort.
Well, and before he was a linebacker, he was that DB, and he's a team guy, even for his former teammates. If you look at Marcus Sayles on the Riders side, you might remember, hey, he used to be a BC Lion, a defensive back along TJ Lee. They actually were still in a group chat together, all of the Lions DBs, including Marcus Sayles, this season, all the way up until their Week 6 matchup. And they said about 4 days out from the game, they said, Marcus, okay, we're going to have to kick you out of the group chat. And then 3 days out, they'd say, okay, it's your 3-day warning, and so on. Marcus Sayles told me this week, you couldn't have written the script better. Fighting for a home playoff game against the very team that cut him earlier this season, guys.
Kind of writes itself. Thank you, Britt. And there he is on now, lined up against Alex Holland's first down. BC, Nathan Rourke rolling right. He throws it out. Holland's way with Sales there, pushing him out of bounds. 2nd and short coming up.
Yeah, they go right to the matchup with Marcus Sales and Alexander Hollins, who missed last 2 games due to injury to his shoulder, diving for a pass a couple weeks ago. But yeah, you see Sales no longer allowed to be in the group chat. That could give away some important information if you forget that you got one of the opposing players in your group chat.
Marcus Sales won a Grey Cup with Winnipeg, moved on to BC, and first year with the Saskatchewan Roughriders, a 2nd and 4 at the line 46. Rourke gets it away, and a nice catch too. Going up for that is Stanley Berryhill, and a first down for BC. And that was the last play of the first quarter, and got it just inside the Riders' zone. Big defensive play to start this game. A.J. Allen off that bobble takes it in for the touchdown. A couple of field goals later. Through 1, 13-1 Saskatchewan. The numbers through 1 quarter here at Mosaic. Riders leading by 12 points. Standing out, only 10 yards rushing for William Stanback at the BC Lions.
Yeah, Ron, when the leaves are on the ground and you can feel that bite in the air, and we're into October, this feels like a playoff game. It's for home field, which is going to be huge. That's when the running game, we expect to see more of it. A.J. Ouellette, we've seen a little bit of him in that first quarter. Not as much with William Stanback. I mean, he's number 2 in the league rushing the football. I know we say it quite often, but that balance is super important. Although those guys might have something to say about stopping the run. One of the best teams in the league, by the way, stopping the run is
they are
defense.
And they are making a statement so far in this one against Stanback and BC. 12 points down to start the second quarter here in Regina. The Riders win this game, they clinch at least second place. Faking to Stanback, throwing. The left aiming for Justin McInnes, who just had a monster game for BC. The last time these two teams met against his old club, when McInnes had over 200 yards receiving in that one.
Yeah, 243, 14 targets, caught all 14. I mean, that's almost unheard of. But yeah, that was a big game. Now, Vernon Adams started that game and played that game, threw for over 400 yards in it. And no Trevor Harris that game.
Harris versus Shea Patterson. So it's Rourke to the right, and Hollins targeted again, and Hollins brings that one down for a first down inside the Rider 45.
It's a long time in the read here for Nathan Rourke. Doesn't seem like it, but he got it out to Hollins just in time, because Hollins was leaking out there closer to Sales. He might have had a shot at that.
Coming in with 881 yards receiving. For a time, he led the league in receiving and cooled off. And he just missed 2 games with a shoulder injury. So 1st and 10. And the Rider 43 intended for Stanback, but that falls shy with the heat on Nathan Rourke on that play.
Yeah, I think it was Micah Johnson that got to him, and that affected the throw. Micah Johnson right here. That affected the throw. Clearly, it went right down. He was waiting for Stanback to get out of the backfield and be ready for a little dump pass there, but you can see the hit he took. Wow. Brian Cox Jr. and Micah Johnson with a Nathan Rourke sandwich.
Cox leading the way in the sack department for Saskatchewan. He is 6. Tied actually with Micah Johnson, the 2 of them getting the most heat on quarterbacks. 2nd and 10. BC down. But at the Rider 43, and with time. Oh my goodness, that one's caught by Keon Hatcher, and another first down as the Lions get into scoring position now.
I can't believe Rourke tried that and got away with it. It's going to be a throw in a real tight window. Watch Jameer Thurman in the middle of your screen break on this, and none other than Roland Milligan coming the other direction, and his 8 interceptions in his back pocket, leading the Canadian Football League. He was right there too. And C.J. Rivas. That was a tight window to get it in there.
Needed to thread the needle, and he did. So is gone, and it's caught inside the 20. So red zone now for the BC Lions, and that's Justin McInnis with the catch.
You know, one of the things I think that Justin McInnis' game has got to continue to evolve. I mean, he is the leader right now, and he's only had a 3-yard lead on Justin Hardy, but he was making a living out of that bender route over the middle. This is very similar to that. This is a curl instead of a bender. A little bit different. Going to have to keep opening up the playbook for 18.
David Mackey in, the fullback for short yardage, playing quarterback. We've seen a lot of this from BC's offense as he heads off to the right. Has enough to move the sticks, and a 1st and 10 now for BC.
So the bender route is sort of like you go down the field and Justin McInnis bends in like that. That's sort of the bender route. The one he just run was this one. Very similar, but doesn't bend into the middle. I think defenses have played against that bender. They're taking it away from Justin McInnis. They're making him run other routes, and the Lions are trying to figure out how to get him the ball.
From the Saskatchewan 17, little toss out to Stanback. Puts his head down, and he gets it down around the 12. Looks like about another 5-yard pickup for William Stanback.
Yeah, we used to call that the zap technique. And the idea is to zap the quarterback. So make him pitch it immediately. And that's what Anthony Lanier does. He goes right to Nathan Rourke in the zap technique. Zap it, make sure he pitches it, and then the defense can rally.
10th play of the drive. They mark it at the 13. A 4-yard pickup, 2nd and 6.
How hard it is to audible.
He's trying above this crowd. And Rourke off to the left. It is caught inside the 5. 1st and goal coming up here, and that pickup by William Stanback.
You can see what the home field advantage could be like. I mean, this is Nathan Rourke. He gets it done. But this is how difficult it is. First of all, offense is on the road, loses snap count. So they don't have the advantage of the snap count when they're on the road and can't hear. But he was trying to audible there. He was back and forth trying to make sure everyone understood what the new play was and got it done.
Mackey's in. Short yardage. 2-1. Touchdown. BC Lions answering back, moving it down the field in a long drive to reach the end zone for the first time.
Well, the way this game started, this is a big drive for the Lions, and having David Mackey back in the lineup, he does so many things. I mean, he's on special teams, short yardage. He's already had a couple in the middle of the field that he's gotten on 3rd down and short, and now gets the first major for the BC Lions.
And his 7th rushing touchdown of the season. In his 6th year out of Western, David Mackey. Sean White on for the point after to make it a 5-point game. Been mostly Riders so far in this first half, but an 11-play, 70-yard drive getting the Lions back in it. Finished by David Mackey and celebrated by Corey Woodruff too. Have another look at the TD drive, over 11 plays and 70 yards.
Real important one for the Lions, not let this one slip away and let the crowd take this momentum and carry it to the football team here in Saskatchewan. But that throw to Keon Hatcher, I think, was the key throw in the drive. That was an audible to get it to Stanback in the flat. And they were able to change the play despite the crowd noise, and then David Mackey finishes the drive with that short yardage touchdown.
So Stephen Flintoff will come on to kick it off. And Alfred's back there with Jareth Stearns. Riders still lead it. Lead down to 5 now here in the first half of the game. Saskatchewan knows they'll clinch a home playoff date. At least 2nd place if they win this one. BC, if they win, can clinch 2nd if they win again against Montreal in their final game of the season next week. Alfred has it. Cross to the 30. And down he goes just a little bit past that. A.J. Ouellette back in the lineup after a hip injury that kept him out for 6 games. We'll have more on him and his return here in the CFL on TSN. Well, you know, this guy just couldn't wait to get back in the lineup, missing the last 6 games because of a hip injury. Here's what he's done so far. With more, let's go back to Brett.
Yeah, Rod, you actually talked about it earlier. The biggest and toughest task for him was the patience waiting to get back in this lineup. And what a time for him to return just as the weather's cooling down and you have a downhill physical running back in A.J. Ouellette. Corey May said that. He goes, don't worry, when we went after him in free agency, we thought about these late games in the season and wanting to have him. Trevor Harris also said that and told us he actually wished this game was 10 to 15 degrees cooler because that's when he feels like they play their best football. But from a sideline reporter perspective, guys, I don't wish it was any cooler down here.
Well, you're rocking the nice big pants, Brett. Getting into the spirit of the weather. I mean, it's and that's Emilus on the receiving end. But yeah, there is a beautiful feeling about a little fall in the air, a little chill. You get closer to the playoffs.
Yeah, a little get those road graders up front, the offensive line, get the big backs in behind them. You know, we've seen that from Brady Oliveira in Winnipeg, one of the reasons for their success over the last few years, and A.J. Ouellette's certainly capable. It was interesting talking to him, though, about him being in Regina and how he goes, you know, when I walk around, yeah, it's partly they want to come and talk to me because I'm a rider, but it's look at the hair. Like I'm kind of recognizable when I walk around.
Here's Trevor Harris. He gets rid of it, and it's caught too. Talk about throwing it, just threading the needle. Emilus with the catch and a first down, Saskatchewan.
Well, when we talked to Ouellette too, I asked him, you know, what's your priority? And I thought I might get like a 100-yard game. You know what he said? I need to protect Trevor Harris, and that's exactly what he does off the edge on Matthew Betts. He gives Trevor Harris an extra second to make this throw to Emilus on the dig route.
Gets that up across the 50. Here come the Riders now on a first down.
Running.
And off to the side, it is caught by Emilus again. And a good yardage after the catch, too, to pick up another first down inside the BC 50.
Well, a hit screen. Emilus, go to the line of scrimmage, come back, give your when he comes back that extra 2-3 yards, he has just given his fellow receivers a chance to set up their blocking angles.
And with that catch, goes over 1,000 yards for the second straight years at 1,001 right now. 31 on the day, 1st and 10. Harris to throw again to the right. It is caught again. It's Jared Stearns inside the 35. As the Rider offense, after BC scored, they're quickly on the move.
Stearns runs a beautiful speed cut here to get to the out on T.J. Lee. I mean, that's a veteran. This defense has been much better with T.J. Lee in that position. But watch the speed route from Stearns here. He's one-on-one with T.J. Lee. Nice speed cut. Don't lose any momentum as you come out of that break. Nice route from Stearns.
Down to the Lions 33. Quickly, Keyshawn Johnson down to the 20. Pushing now his way through to the 15. Gary Peters tried to wrangle him there, and then once Johnson got leverage, he became A.J. Ouellette.
Well, see what I mean, though, about Trevor Harris and whether you play man, which T.J. Lee did on Stearns in the previous down, or then they go to zone. And this is Ryan Phillips trying to play this cat and mouse game with Trevor Harris. Harris just takes the next snap. He goes, now I'm in the zone. I've got that under route from Keyshawn Johnson, and I'll let him do some heavy lifting here.
Love the attitude of a receiver, too, putting his head down, picking up a few more yards. Taking to Ouellette, off to the right, back to Stearns, 10, 5, and he tries to push his way through Gary Peters to get to the 4. First and goal coming up now
What a response. Nathan Rourke goes down and puts together a drive that gets the Lions to within 5, maybe take a little momentum. Trevor Harris says, I don't think so. I got a drive of my own, and the play calling on this drive has been outstanding from Coach Mueller.
The deepest the Rider offense has gone. They still don't have an offensive touchdown. Their TD came on a defensive play, interception by A.J. Allen. Trevor Harris is 6 for 6 on this drive. Here we go. First and goal at the BC 4. The toss. Ouellette, he's going to throw. Oh, nearly intercepted by Gary Peters. It was intended for Emelis. And A.J. Ouellette, who's thrown a touchdown pass before with the Argos last year against Hamilton, and sees that one just get away from him.
Well, he's got his hands taped, and it must have slipped a little because he just, well, he had a linebacker in front of him. I think that was Ben Haladik that was right in front of him that he had to throw it over, and he just didn't get enough on it. But I guarantee you he goes into the sideline after this drive to Trevor Harris and says, man, it's harder than it looks. You make it look easy.
Second and goal now. Harris throwing. And no, that one kind of got away as well. TJ Lee's there and Kean Schaefer-Baker. So suddenly it's a third down and goal for the Riders.
Yeah, TJ Lee closes on this one. This is a play made by the veteran. And by the way, his scoop and score, not the only play he made in that game against Calgary. I mean, he filled the stat sheet. Pretty much every stat that a defender or special teams player, and he plays on the teams as well, could make, but TJ Lee filled the sheet.
So the Riders impressively march down the field, get a goal to go inside the 5, but they will settle for 3. And the try here for Brett Lother, who's 3 for 3 on the night. So it's back to an 8-point lead now for Saskatchewan. I'm sure the Riders thinking, should have been more. They had their chances. Brett Lother. Another field goal for number 12. A couple of nights ago in Regina, the Plaza of Honor dinner was hosted by Brett Dort. Glenn Suter was there as well. Those honored, their suits. Roy Shivers, former general manager of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and Darian Durant, Grey Cup champion quarterback. In both cases, very deserved.
Well, absolutely. I mean, Roy Shivers brought in so many great football players, one of the great evaluators of talent in the CFL in its history, the first black general manager in pro football. So he paved the way for many more to follow.
Roy Shivers, Darian Durant, it's to be official, the Plaza of Honor at halftime here at Mosaic.
And by the way, Britt knocked it out of the park.
Of course she did.
With Dave Thomas, the voice of the Riders on CKRM radio. So yeah, it was a great night, and Britt did a really nice job as the MC, co-MC. Cool speeches. 2 well-deserving recipients of the Plaza of Honor. Do that at halftime and show you a little bit of Darian Viz in the second half.
They got fond memories of him here. It's a second and short. Mackey had the Lions touchdown earlier. After the pickup by William Stanback got them close. Mackey gets enough to move the sticks for BC.
Yeah, they were missing David Mackey in these short yardage situations over the last few weeks due to injury. Still don't have Javon Catoy back in the lineup, but as far as getting that big blocker to play tight end almost. But David Mackey, super important.
Jordan Maximic, the offensive coordinator. Catoy, by the way, up with an ankle injury. First and 10, flag out. Pass completed, and a hit there. Deontay Williams in on William Stanback.
I think there was early movement. I'm not sure who moved first.
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 95. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Haba Baldonado, their global player from Rome, Italy.
Yeah, he was right off the edge in the 2-point stance. It's in the neutral zone.
In his second year, played his college ball at Pitt. So 1st and 5 with that offside penalty against the Riders. Still lots of time, over 4 minutes to go until halftime. 8-point difference. Back on the ground, stand back. BC tries to get that running game going better. Easily enough in the 1st and 5 for a first down closer to the Rider 40.
Third 1,000-yard season for Stanback, and one of the reasons for that 1,000 yards again, that jump cut right there. For a guy his size, they say in the roster it's 233. I would say it's 245. Great feet.
1st and 10, Rider 41. And he threads it again to McInnes this time. Another completion for Rourke. That's down close to the 27 of Saskatchewan. BC's offense moving right back.
Well, that one interception for Nathan Rourke, not his fault. That went off the heel of his tailback, but that was the first play of the game. But he has thread the needle a couple of times in this half, not afraid to try and knife it in there. As a DB, you believe. Is he really going to throw it there?
And he has been. Last play before the 3-minute warning. Back to the ground to Stanback. And runs into some contact a couple of yards down the road. So the warning is given. Got a good one going here at Mosaic. Teams thinking of a home playoff day, knowing they will likely face each other. 8-point difference. Saskatchewan leading. BC's coming on.
We have a great halftime coming up. Straight fire. And also, JB wants to talk about the physicality of this game. Speaking of physicality, I wasn't here last night, but I guess Milt lost a bet.
10.
He's been doing push-ups on the set.
He's not getting low enough.
Unknown reason.
6.
Milt Stegall, 50 push-ups, walk in the park, right?
Well, for the record, in the booth here, we're not going to bet on push-ups. That's not happening. Hot dogs maybe, but not push-ups.
I'd be here for days trying to get those done. 2nd and 5. And met there, tackling William Stanback. That's Micah Johnson. Big Micah just gets it inside the 20, still shy of a first down. A couple of yards away here for BC.
Yeah, interesting decision here for Rick Campbell. I'd be inclined to take the points. I think he's going to leave his short yardage unit out there.
Well, David Mackey's coming on. Andrew Pearson as well. The extra old lineman. So, yeah, they're going to go for it. 2 full yards.
Man, taking the points this first half.
They're down by 8.
Unless they're trying to draw him offside. Get a freebie.
Nathan Rourke.
Nope.
The snap goes to
No, sir.
No, turnover on downs coming up. They gave it a shot. Instead of taking the 3 and cutting it to 5 again, thinking of continuing the drive and a chance to tie it before halftime. It remains an 8-point game.
Yeah, but that was a long 2.5. I mean, that was a 3-yard short yardage play, and I don't know. Mark that one. Mark that one. We look down into that 4th quarter. We'll see if that. You know, sometimes the game comes down to 4, 5, 6 plays, and you don't know when in the game they're going to happen. I'm wondering if that's one of them. Big stop by the Rider defense.
Tried to run it straight with Mackey, and no going. Riders are ready for that. So here they are on their 20. 2:22 on the clock. Emelis has the ball. And he gets a good pickup on first down up around the 29. 2nd and short. Still lots of time for the Riders to see if they can now increase that 8-point lead.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And plenty of time to run the offense.
The last time they had the ball, they had to settle for a field goal, but they worked it down nicely to get inside the BC 5. Trevor Harris moves out. It's quarterback A.J. Ouellette. Short yardage. So little page out of the Lions book. We see the Ticats do that as well, as Ouellette takes it for short yardage and picks up the first down.
Now that throw that didn't complete down in the end zone by A.J. Ouellette, it's still valuable heading into the playoffs, and I'll tell you why. That every team that plays Saskatchewan now in the playoffs has to take some time in their practice to defend against A.J. Ouellette on one of those, pitch passes. That takes time out of your practice schedule.
Seen him throw. We've seen him line up at quarterback, and now we see running back A.J. Ouellette with a bit of a head of steam there to pick up about 5 more yards.
That's why I've been saying over the last few weeks now that even last night's game that I'd like to see offensive coordinators get a little more creative when it comes to short yardage plays, because right now it's just push at the line of scrimmage.
2nd and 5. Harris to throw under pressure, gets rid of it. Oh, it was caught too, but no, out of bounds was Kean Schaefer-Baker. Hung on to the ball, but couldn't get the foot down.
That's the first clear hit, I think, on Trevor Harris in this game so far in the first half. He's had pretty good protection. Mentioned rotating offensive guards, but that's the first time that Lions really got good pressure on him, and there's the out of bounds tap.
So there will still be time for the Lions. 1.5 minutes to go to halftime. Adam Korsak with the punt, a low one. Driving and off the hop. Taken by Terry Williams. Eludes one tackle, but not another one after a punt of 45 yards.
Shop over 1,000 new deals every week at Canadian Tire.
Rod Smith, Glenn Suter, and Britt Dort, Mosaic Stadium on an October late afternoon in Regina. 2 teams that have clinched playoff spots. That happened last week, but they don't know where they will finish in the West Division. For Saskatchewan, first, second, or third are all still in play. For BC, just wanting second place again and a home playoff date for the 3rd straight year, but they have to win this game at least, and then some. Rourke, the throw and open, but coughing it up is McInnes, and it's picked up there by C.J. Rivas. McInnes had the catch, he took a pop, he couldn't hang on, and it's Saskatchewan football.
Who tackled the football? That's the bender route that McInnes made a living on the first half of the season. They went back to it, and he was there. I mean, the catch is made.
Previous plays being reviewed by Command Center.
That's Nelson Lacombo, the safety that stepped in, put his shoulder right on the football, and the Command Center's taking a look to make sure this is a catch and fumble and not an incompletion. Now, when they slow it down, it's tough to get perspective on it. Well, it looked like he had possession when it was knocked out. That's a tackling the football from the safety spot. Lacombo's still looking for his first interception, but big play there, knocked the ball out. Rivas recovered it immediately. It looks a little different when you go in regular motion.
Sure does. The turnover is really hurting. Assume this one does stand up as a turnover. Really hurting the BC Lions in this first half. Command Center's looked at it.
After review, the ruling on the field stands. First down, Saskatchewan.
The referee, Justin McInnes, on the fumble by Justin McInnes of the Lions, picked up by C.J. Rivas. So for BC, coughing up the ball, you had Williams stand back and a weird one off his heel that led to a Rider touchdown. You had a turnover on downs the last time they had the ball, and then this. The catch and then fumble by Justin McInnes. So here come the Riders now at the 49, still 1:12 on the clock, and flags coming out before the snap of the ball.
Devise offside. Hey, you know what? That first one to stand back, that in my book would be a
offside. BC, number 99, 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
That's a turnover. That one by Lacombo, that's a takeaway.
Yeah.
You know, same result, but just called 2 different things because the defense took the ball away, and they're great at that. The Riders are now a plus 20, I believe, first in the league by a long shot.
By far. One of their strengths all year long. Here's Harris. That's caught by Emilus. And a big play for the Riders. They get down close in a hurry, and there's still over a minute to go until halftime.
A one-on-one route down here. Emilus is going to run the corner route. See how he leans in. and then heads right to that sideline. TJ Lee has to take away the inside shoulder, so that MLS gives him the leverage on the corner towards that sideline, and what a throw right on time from Trevor Harris.
A game where Harris has gone over 3,000 yards passing this season. MLS earlier went over 1,000 yards receiving. They connect again. 35 yards later, they're down inside the 20. Over a minute to go till halftime. Harris, another completion. Keyshawn Johnson. Helmet comes off. That's Jalen Edwards-Cooper. The Lions defender have lost his hat there. As Johnson gets it down a little closer.
A couple physical runs for Keyshawn Johnson in this first half. It's not going down on first contact.
Jalen Edwards-Cooper, who started the season with the Roughriders, he got cut. He'd actually started his career with BC and went back to them just recently. A welcome addition back in the secondary with the injury to Seontae Evans. 2nd and 2. The BC 11. That by Keyshawn Johnson. AJ Olek pulling his way through for a first down. Still on his feet. They finally haul him down, but it's a 7-6 yard line, and a 1st and goal is coming up here. Still 39 seconds to go until halftime.
When you have AJ Olek, you know, that's, I'm sure they're tempted, the Riders, to just do that play 3 times in a row.
Yeah. Three handoffs in a cloud of dust.
And a throw.
And a throw here. End zone long. Touchdown. Jarrett Stearns has it. Then the Riders quickly make BC pay for the takeaway.
Points off turnovers, so important. Turnovers first. 13 points off turnovers. 1, a touchdown created on the first play by A.J. Allen, and now the touchdown throw, back shoulder, and Stearns goes up and rips it into the air. Does not give the defender a chance to get his hand in there.
And that is the first touchdown of the season for Jarrett Stearns. And timely, too, in the final minute of the first half, with the point after try coming up here by Brett Lawther. To make it a 15-point lead.
A lot can happen in the final 3 minutes of the half and the final 3 minutes of the game. But that turnover turns into quick points. The combo with the takeaway. Rivas, Emilus on the corner route, and just like that, Trevor Harris in 2 throws adds to the lead.
That big pass to Emilus for 35. He now has 5 catches for 77. And Justin McInnes, who had his way against Saskatchewan's defense. His whole team started his career here, and that big day you talked about, a 244 receiving back in mid-July at BC Place. But it's going a little differently right now.
Trevor Harris put that ball right where he wanted to put it, to the back shoulder, so that Stearns could jump for it and separate from the DB.
So Terry Williams back, 21 seconds on the clock. 23-8 Saskatchewan opening up its lead. Out of bounds. Remember, too, the last 2 times the Lions had the ball, they were in field goal position, chose to go for it on a 3rd and 2.5, turned it over on downs, and then the next possession, it was coughed up by McInnes on the hit by Lacombo. So Kate, Milt, well, surely has got the push-ups done by now. Coach Barker, Enoch Mwamba as well to talk about this one so far.
So final 3 minutes, a stop on downs by the Riders, a forced fumble and fumble recovery by the Riders, 2 deep throws by the Riders, and adding to this lead in the first half.
Such a difference the last couple of minutes it made for the green and white. 1st and 10, Nathan Rourke, 14 seconds, gets rid of it, intercepted! It may not be done yet.
Get out of bounds.
Ticking down the
the D-line with a little bit of pressure and just throwing the accuracy off this throw. That little bump there, I think it was Baldonado coming off the edge that just side hit on Nathan Rourke, and he can't get it out there. He had an open receiver. He just can't get it to him because of that hit. Twisted him around. So the assist goes to the D-line and Baldonado. Take the field goal here and add to the lead.
Make it 18 points at the half. Boy, Saskatchewan just really opening it up. Lawther is 3 for 3. Gets his 4th field goal of this first half. That one coming with just seconds to go, and that interception by C.J. Avery. His 3rd interception of the season. 17 points off turnovers at the beginning of the half, and then more points at the end of the half. And the Lions with a little discussion before they head to the dressing room. They've got some regrouping to do.
Yeah, starting with the turnovers, and you can look at them and say, well, one maybe Rourke's fault decision by Rick Campbell to not take the field goal and take the points, make it a 5-point game at that point. All of those decisions, they matter.
Let's go down to Britt with A.J. Ouellette.
Well, AJ, you made your presence known out there at a few different positions in your return. Tell us how it felt to get back on the field.
It feels great. It's been way too long to be out there playing with the guys. Putting the body on the line to try to get this win.
Well, you're 2 quarters away from earning a home playoff date right here. What's important for you and this team in the second half?
Just do your job. Don't make any mistakes. We do that, we're going to come out here with a win.
All right, thanks so much, AJ, and welcome back.
Thank you.
We'll send it off to Kate and the panel.
And Britt, that panel would be Enoch Mwamba, Jim Barker, Milt Stiegel, and what a half of football by the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And JB, you mentioned this before the game. You were looking for a good old-fashioned slobber knocker. It's coming from one of the 2 teams. We know this. And we want to look at this physicality. And look, A.J. Ouellette, he said putting his body on the line. It's not just running the football. He made a brilliant block in that first half as well. It's the O-line. It's the defense. Everything is coming together for these Riders and the way they're playing football.
This team is ready to play. I mean, when you hit the way they're hitting, Nelson Lacombo, much maligned at free safety, he comes down, creates a fumble with a huge hit on McInnes. Keyshawn Johnson catches a pass and runs over Cooper's Edward. They're doing it at every position. It's just, I went back, I pulled a couple of clips of it started with Marcus Sayles at corner. They catch a little flat route. Watch him come up here and absolutely say, you know what? You're in our house now. Now, Caleb Sanders, he just takes Suk Chung and throws him to the side. And then on this last one, A.J. Ouellette, watch the end of this run. Yeah. That is winning football, and that's exciting. This time of the year to be able to watch that excites me.
Yo, you feeling it?
I can't tell at all.
Calm down. We got another half. Calm down. We got another half. Yes, they're playing some great football, good physical football. But what about their quarterback, Trevor Harris? And he's been playing great football since he returned from injury. He continue making great plays, getting these receivers the ball, allowing them to make some great plays. So this team is playing some great football, and it does start with the quarterback. Of course, the physical play, but you got to have a great quarterback. You look at this throw by here by Trevor Harris, this is a dime. Wow. And also, you can see he's feeling comfortable in the backfield. You look at this. There's pressure, but he knows he has a shield around him. He knows his offensive line. He knows his running back are going to allow him to throw the ball down the field. And this was a question mark early in the season because they had some injury to their offensive line. But those guys now are gelling together at the right time. They're in the playoff hunt. Yes, this game is not over, but the way they're playing right now, they're making a great transition as they go to the playoffs.
Well, we talk about the deposits they're made in that first half. They're going to cash those in the second half.
All right. And you talk about Milt, the shield around Trevor Harris. It is not the case on the opposite side of the ball for Nathan Rourke. I mean, he's had pressure all over the whole night. And there was only one drive that I really saw that was really successful for the BC Lions, and it was an 11-play and 70 yards. But outside of that, we didn't see anything from that offense at all. And in my opinion, too, what they need to do is diversify their plays a little bit. You can't put it all on Nathan Rourke and Justin McInnes and all the receivers. You got got to involve William Stanback a little bit more. When this team has had success, William Stanback had a lot of touches. And tonight he's only had 6 touches with 32 yards, and that is not enough. That is not the recipe for success for this team right now.
And I got to ask, too, I mean, this is such a critical game. If you're the BC Lions, you do not want to be going into Mosaic or Princess Auto Stadium playing two physical teams and having the home crowd against you. Is there a thought process at all now?
Don't go there,
I
Kate.
have to.
Don't go there,
It's too critical not to go there.
Yes.
Do you try VA?
At a certain point, you have to make a change. Never been a coach, never want to be a coach. You know this better than me. But at a certain point, you got to make a change. You just got to change things up. Is Nathan Rourke playing bad? He's not playing bad, but your team is down, 28-6 or 26-8? You got to give him some type of spark. We know what VA is capable of. So at some point, you got to make a decision and make that change, in my opinion.
I don't know that that's the necessarily a problem, but I do know that last year against Winnipeg in the playoffs, they struggled because they weren't physical enough. And when Winnipeg wanted to have their way with them, they did. They went out and got William Stanback because of that. They're not utilizing Enoch, exactly what you said.
13 of 18 right now and 150 yards. Nathan Rourke right now. Sometimes, Milt, to your point, you got to make that change. And VA had a lot of success earlier on. Maybe that's the solution.
And, as we always say at this point in the season, take care of the football. 4 turnovers in the first half. I mean, it's just not going to fly, especially against the Riders at home, a game of this significance. The Riders with a brilliant first half. And coming up after this, it is...
Straight Fire!
It is a tradition unlike any other. More football on Thanksgiving weekend presented by Pure Leader. Join us Monday, 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. A huge matchup over in the East as the Red Blacks taking on the Montreal Alouettes. That game, by the way, sold out in Montreal. As we bring you inside for another edition of one of our very favorite segments, it is Straight Fire Milt Stegall.
Yeah, let's go to Edmonton and let's go to Millwood Christian School. And I say my man because this coach, this young man in the CFC game this year. Carter Harold with 1 of 5 touchdown passes. Look at that. That's nasty. The tight one-hand catch. And you better make plays like that, Carter, when you're looking sweet like that. You can't be sweet looking like that with the tight fits and not make great catches like that. Great catch, Carter. That was straight fire.
We go down the road to Calgary and the Boneheads Trojans. Maddox Haggerty, yes, that's name of the year so far, does his very best Tommy Stevens impersonation, takes his quarterback sneak 40 yards for the touchdown. Now that is straight fire.
Let's go to Ottawa. The North Gloucester Giants tight football. 7-year-old Liam Mason. Look at this. Breaks 3 tackles and he's gone. I read his lips. He said, give me a hole and I will handle the rest. Let's look at it again. Let's look at it again. 1, 2, 3. Nobody can stop it when he's in a race situation. He said, I'm top 2 and I'm not 2. You can't catch me. I'm gone. Touchdown. This is straight fire.
Are all of you okay? Like, does everyone need to take a breath for a moment here?
What you got,
I'm just going to read this normally. Flag football in Regina. No, I'm not. Texans receiver Kylan Clive, just 1 hands to throw. You know why, Stegall? Wow. She saw your highlight, and she's like, anything you can do, I can do better. That, ladies and gentlemen, is straight fire. Look, if you can't tell, we just love reading your highlights that you send in from home. So it's jamie.rydell@bellmedia.ca. And you know what we love, too? When we're watching some of these pregame highlights, we see some of these young gaffers throwing the football around. And once in a while, we have a highlight that's coming down that our truck gets. And take a look at this. This was right before tonight's game on Mosaic. Regina Minor football action, grades 7 through 12 girls. Wow. Hannah Wilker, what a beauty pass. Over to Emerson West in the slant, the TD for Regina RMF Victorias. That, one more time, is straight fire. All right. right, the crowd in Regina loving that. And you know what? The crowd in Regina loving this game tonight. The Roughriders, they are absolutely bullying the BC Lions at this point. And speaking of Riders, they'll love this. A couple of their legends. Roy Shevers, Darian Durant going into the Wall of Plaza of Honor this evening, being honored, carted around. I'm sure they're loving this evening. We'll get you back right after this. Gaffers.
Halftime at Mosaic, 26-8. The Riders are leading in large part because of the turnovers. BC's coughed it up 4 times, and it has been costly. Down to Britain now with head coach Rick Campbell.
Rick, 4 turnovers in that first half. Can we expect a change at quarterback?
No, we got to keep going. We got to take care of the football. We can be in this game if we do that. We're going to keep fighting and see if we can get our way back into this thing.
You did talk to us this week about consistency, and that's how you're going to win the ball game. So what was your message to this team to be more consistent?
Yeah, number one's take care of the football, and we got to take advantage to score. So we're going to keep going and see if we can get back in this thing.
Thanks, Rick. Have a good second half.
You got it.
The first turnover was almost a freak play off the heel of William Stanback for the interception for the touchdown by A.J. Allen. But boy, Suits, after that, Saskatchewan's done an excellent job defensively forcing those takeaways. Yeah,
forcing a couple of takeaways, and then the decision to not kick the field goal that turned over in downs and turned into points in the final 3 minutes of the half. So, all of that adds up to the lead for Saskatchewan. But earned, they are now a plus 23 in the giveaway takeaway category.
Far and away the best in the CFL. They have 17 points after those turnovers, takeaways, 26-8. 18-point lead. And if Saskatchewan can win this game, as mentioned, they will secure at least second place. We've got an onside kick. Short kick to start the second half, but it sails out of bounds. And a flag will come out against Stephen Flintoft in BC, and it'll give the Riders a great place to start the second half.
Oh, yeah, that's a roll the dice gamble coming out of the second half to try and fool the Riders with the onside kick, but Flintoft's got to keep it in bounds. I mean, this is the only
illegal kickoff out of bounds. BC, number 11. Be first down, Saskatchewan.
If you're going to miss, you got to miss short on an onside kick, because once it's out of bounds, there's no chance. And Rich Benavides, Rick Campbell thought they might catch the Riders napping, and they looked like they were prepared, and they reacted quickly.
Well, as the saying goes, looking for a spark, but that one blew up against BC. And Saskatchewan, 18 points up, will start this first possession of the second half at the Lions 41, already in scoring position.
Yeah, basically field goal range right now. Corey
Mace, his CFL playing career with Calgary, and his defensive coordinator back in 2012, 2013 was a guy by the name of Rick Campbell before Campbell went off to take the head coaching job with Ottawa. And Rick Campbell, I asked him about Corey Mace, and he had said he could even see back then the coaching back in his playing days. Mace's Riders, good place to start. A.J. Ouellette. He's the ball carrier as he pulls his way down inside the 35. Ouellette at 39 yards rushing in the first half.
One of the things Rick Campbell wanted to do this year coming into the season was improve his run defense. And, in 23, they were allowing 100 yards a game. He thought they got to get bigger up front. They got to improve that. They have, but it's been marginal. Like, they're middle of the pack right now. Ouellette's had some runs. There is an improvement. Not huge.
Sets up a 2nd and 3. Harris to throw to the left. First down and more. Jarrett Stearns, who late in the first half picked up his first touchdown of the season to help with this Rider lead, and they get it down closer to the BC 25.
Great pre-snap motion here with Emlis sliding down the line of scrimmage. You got the deep route, pushing those DBs back off of Stearns, and then Harris throws it underneath.
Jarrett Stearns in his second year out of Western Kentucky. 1st and 10 at the 26. Ouellette again. Turns it back right and gets the edge. Still going. Head down across the 10. Inside and setting up another 1st and goal for Saskatchewan. Ouellette running hard.
That's the cut that A.J. Ouellette couldn't make when he made his first return. He was on the injured list for 3 games, came back from Montreal. He couldn't make that cut right there. He said it was still bugging him. The hip was still a problem. He tried to gut it out for a game. It just wasn't happening. Then he went back and missed the 6. That was the cut that he couldn't do. That was sweet.
Gets it down to the 8. First and goal. Harris. Ouellette stays in to block. Down goes Harris. He is sacked. Ben Haladic coming in, getting the heat on him. And second down coming up.
Yeah, just missed in the count. Ben Haladic is just going to disguise it and sneak up into the line of scrimmage here and then just time it up. And it's a little bit of a chip, but like Bremer had his eyes on the next level on Ace Ely. And he just let Haladic go.
So the Lions' victory here would be limiting the Riders to just 3 more points. From the BC 14, second and goal. Harris, end zone, down low. Intended there for Jareth Stearns, and not quite. Stearns patting himself like my bad, but they were that close to getting Stearns another touchdown.
Well, I'm wondering, because he patted his own chest, did he run a little too deep on this route? It looked like he wanted to get right to the goal line maybe, and that's where Harris thought he would be.
Brett Lothar, one game this year where he went 7 for 7, trying to go 5 for 5 now, and he does. So nonetheless, a good start to the second half for the Riders after the onside kick that did not work out by BC to start the second half. So they had a great place to start. Here's where the drive finishes. Another Lothar field goal, and now a 21-point lead Saskatchewan. Nathan Rourke's first half, 13 of 18 for 154, but 2 interceptions. That one you certainly can't fault him on.
Yeah, that one bounced off the heel of Stanback. Took some hits. That he got hit in the pocket. And I'm not defending, but when Brett asked Rick Campbell, I would suggest that Campbell saying, I didn't think it was Nathan Rourke's fault. The 2 interceptions really weren't. There was pressure on one and the bobble by Stanback on the other. And then a forced fumble was a big one.
That pick by Avery right in the final seconds. It led to another field goal by Saskatchewan. William Stanback, 32 yards rushing in the first half, and he gets the carry. First play from scrimmage for BC.
Now, having said that, the last time these 2 teams played, albeit back in July, Vernon Adams was the starting quarterback, and Vernon Adams threw for almost 500 yards in that game. So I can understand why there's some fans wondering if maybe that change should be made.
Second and 5, and off the fingertips of McInnes. And 2 and out for BC. Flintoff will be back on to punt it away.
Watch the close and how quickly Sales comes up and times his hit to separate the ball from the receiver. A couple big hits from Marcus Sales.
The former BC Lion, and Flintoff to punt, and Mario Alford standing around the 15 for this one. Coming in at the 25. Slides down at the 37. Trevor Harris. 16 to 21, 191, 1 touchdown toss to Jareth Stearns. Talk about great Rider quarterbacks. New to the Plaza of Honor. We're going to talk about Darian Durant, honored at halftime when we come back.
Rider Nation, let's hear it for Alice.
Well, we welcome you back to Regina, where 2 legends were officially inducted into the Riders Plaza of Honor. Roy Shivers and Darian Durant, no stranger to this province. What did it mean to you to be inducted alongside the guy who literally brought you to Saskatchewan?
It was special. You know, a lot of people don't know the story between myself and Roy and how I ended up here in Saskatchewan. So to be able to get that out and be inducted with the same guy who brought me into the league is just so special.
You were here last year because the 2013 championship team was a part of last year's induction class. This year, it's you on a personal front. So what does that mean to you?
You know what? It means a lot. You know, as a player, we would come to the plaza ceremony, and I would look up there and just admire the history and the guys who laid down the blueprint for guys like myself to be able to enter. So it's very, very special. This organization is first class, and they just treat me so well. So I'm very proud.
Thank you so much, Darian. And of course, always great to see you back here in Saskatchewan.
Thank you. Go Riders.
What a career. Darian Durant honored in the Plaza of Honor.
There we go.
It was a great night, and you know, I think about Darian Durant and that playoff run in 13. It's still, to me, maybe the best quarterback play I've seen in my time in Canadian Football League as a player or a broadcaster. This is the Grey Cup against Hamilton. You know, and I don't care if you put together an all-star team that day to play against Saskatchewan and Darian Durant in that game. He was winning that game, you could tell. But he rushed for almost 100 in the semifinal against the BC Lions. And then I think he had 3 or 4 touchdown passes against Calgary in the final. And there's a penalty flag on this throw to Schaefer Baker.
On Kean Schaefer Baker, but yeah, they had to go on the road against a good Calgary Stampeders team and win that West Final. And you're right, you could sense in that Grey Cup, nothing was going to stop the Saskatchewan Roughriders on that day at Old Mosaic Stadium.
With Martin Short.
Pass interference, BC, number 21. Spot on the foul, automatic first down.
Martin Short and Tom Hanks in attendance in 2013, and yeah, it was quite the win. There's the PI from Ronald Kent on Schaefer Baker, who made sure that the officials noticed.
Hamilton's Martin Short, a disappointed Ticat fan that day.
Yes, he was. What a run.
Gain, yeah, on the penalty now to Kent. So at the BC 49, the Riders moving in again. A.J. Ouellette grinds that down in his first game back since mid-August.
One other thing, Rod, with doubles, that's what they call them in Darian Durant. I saw after the induction here at halftime, he went over and talked to the defensive coordinator for the Lions, Ryan Phillips. And if you remember, and I know you do, if Darian Durant is your superhero and Superman, Lex Luthor was Ryan Phillips, because he seemed to get an interception against Darian almost every time they faced each other, to a point where Darian Durant at one point said, "I'm going to stop talking to you before games." It was interesting to see them shake hands at halftime.
A little safer to talk to him now.
Yeah.
Throwing his Harris again. Schaefer Baker right near the first down marker. It's Manny Rugamba wrestling him and trying to prevent the first down. Looks like the spot will be right around that yardstick. It is a first down for Saskatchewan.
You mentioned the injuries in the receiving corps to Saskatchewan. They have gone. The upside of going through that early in the season is that a lot of guys play a lot of different positions, and so you get more comfortable with all the different spots, and you can move them around as an offensive coordinator a little bit easier.
Well, that created the line of scrimmage by Pete Robertson, and a flag comes out late. Seems taken down.
That's going to be a horse collar.
Robertson, the ex-Rider, once at 9 sacks here in Saskatchewan, his first year in BC, and he's just back off the injured list, his first game back.
Now, there's a couple of flags. I think the first one is the tackle from P. Robertson on Ouellette that he got him in the horse collar. I'm not sure if there was another one after that.
Unnecessary roughness, horse collar tackle, BC, number 40. 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down.
So here you go. You'll see the tackle. Go ahead and run it, guys. You'll see the tackle. And even though if the ball carrier goes forward, You can't grab the jersey on the nameplate or the shoulder pads. Certainly not the shoulder pads. The correct call, and move the ball up for the Riders. First down.
Pete Robertson here with Saskatchewan at 21 sacks in 3 years. First year at BC, and his first action because of a foot injury since week 11 against Winnipeg. And the BC 24 to the left and caught. Stearns again. He's having a good night, and looks like another first down here for Saskatchewan.
Yeah, well, especially this time, or this part of the field, that Ryan Phillips, the defense coordinator for the Lions, is going to have to go with some man and maybe even some pressure. They've got to get Trevor Harris off his game here if they want any chance of coming back in this game. Right now, Mark Mueller, the offensive coordinator, has got Trevor rolling, feels comfortable in these zones that Ryan Phillips has given him.
Down to the BC 14.
It's a run.
Running with the left. Spinning, keeping his feet too. Called down ultimately by Christophe Beaulieu, but he gets it inside the 10.
You can tell it's a run, Rod, by the early motion of the receivers coming in. Emilus there, I think it's Schaefer Baker coming in. They come in early with Ouellette nice and deep so he can read the blocks up front and see that's a run play coming.
He's enjoying this chance and his first taste of the action in a couple of months. A.J. Ouellette. 2nd and 4. End zone. Touchdown. Kian Schaefer-Baker. And the Riders are really pouring it on now.
He's on his game. Number 7 is reading it against the zone, even backed inside the 20. If you don't get pressure on Trevor Harris, he's just got too much experience, and he'll find those spots.
See Jamarcus Hardrick, the injured right tackle, celebrating there with Kian Schaefer-Baker. Comes up with the touchdown for the Riders. They're on for the point after. Schaefer-Baker with his 4th touchdown of the season, capping off an 8-play, 73-yard drive. The lead increases. The Riders can start to savor the strong possibility of hosting a playoff game for the first time since 2021.
Let's go back to the touchdown. I'll show you the Ryan Phillips zones that he's been showing Trevor Harris. There's Schaefer-Baker that's going to just find that soft spot. 3 deep zones, so 3 deep players here. The underneath linebackers, and now there is the hole. And all Schaefer-Baker has to do is find that hole in front of the deep guys and in behind the linebackers, that second level, and Ryan Phillips goes, okay, I think I better go to a little bit of man-to-man. We'll see what he does in the next series.
Kian Schaefer-Baker, just his 2nd catch of the night, but good for the touchdown, as mentioned, his 4th of the season. A 28-point lead, a 4-touchdown lead by Saskatchewan right now. We're past the midway mark of the 3rd quarter. Terry Williams. And Nathan Rourke coming out. Tough night for him. Really got out of hand for BC, as mentioned, with the turnovers in the first half. 13-19, 154, but they have fallen way behind.
Well, Nathan Rourke and this entire Lions team now doesn't want to look at the scoreboard. They just want to get things rolling offensively. I mean, this is a team that has not found their rhythm offensively, and since Rourke has returned. I mean, a couple of big games, the Victoria game and the Montreal game, but
here we go now on first down. He steps up from the heat, and he just slides up around the Lions 42.
I mentioned, on his road to try and get back to that form of 22, where he was on pace when he got hurt for a 6,000-yard season after 10 games. He had the highest quarterback rating in the league at that point, and after 10 games in the regular season was the outstanding Canadian in the league. he has not found that form yet.
He ended up with 25 touchdown passes, 10 picked off, threw for 3,349 yards. And then a big completion there to Justin McInnes. So one play at a time down inside the Rider 30. But yeah, to your point, at the time of his injury, he was leading the CFL in just about every passing metric there was.
Little corner route, well, not a little one. Big play down the field, and that's what they've got to try to do. Don't look at the scoreboard now. Don't even really worry about the outcome of this game. Just get the offense back on track. Try and find some rhythm and cohesion with the receiving corps.
Right at the Rider 30. And Rourke coming across. There's Berryhill, 25. And out and around the 22. Stanley Berryhill.
Now, different receivers in a lot of ways, too. Justin McInnes was not part of that 22 team. We've talked about that before. But, if you ask me, will he get there? Absolutely he'll get there. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. But the Lions, with the Grey Cup at home, would love that to be any time now.
Well, regardless of what happens, it wouldn't be a done deal. But there is a good chance that BC is going to be coming back here in the playoffs to face the Riders. That one's low, intended there for Holland's falling incomplete.
And this is not a give up on this game with a quarter and a bit to go here. But for Rick Campbell, I think this is about trying to get some continuity on offense, really. I mean, defense made their plays against Calgary, but that's a team that has struggled all season. So different beast.
3-down football here, down by 28, so no surprise they're going for it on a 3rd and 2. Something they did in the first half when the score was much closer. And tried a running play, and it failed to turn over on downs. Pressure coming, Rourke quickly, it's low. Intended for Aiden Eberhardt, and it looked like it skipped the turf before going into the arm. So 5th turnover. And the second time they turn it over on downs as the Riders are set to take it over. Down 28. Trying to do something to get in the end zone again. Not on that play. Saskatchewan football.
You want to be hot this time of year, and certainly Corey Mace's team is. One of the reasons for that is his turnover ratio. Saskatchewan now at a plus 24. Next closest is the Montreal Alouettes at plus 9. This team is taking the ball away. They've had 5 turnovers tonight. 2 now on downs, a couple of interceptions, and a forced fumble and fumble recovery.
They talked about home playoff date on the line for Saskatchewan if they can win, but that doesn't just mean second place. It would mean a shot, an outside shot at first in the West, with Winnipeg not playing again until the final week, 2 weeks from now. Keon Schaefer-Baker falling down. So the Riders, assuming they hang on and win this, then it would come down to week 21. Both teams, both the Bombers and Riders, have a bye next week. Winnipeg's won the season series. Doesn't matter because Saskatchewan has a tie. The bottom line is Saskatchewan, if they win this game tonight, assuming they do, would have to beat Calgary in week 21 and hope that Winnipeg loses in Montreal. And if that's the case, the Riders not only get a home playoff date, that would come in the Western Final.
Bombers still have control of that. They can win. They win and they're in.
Yes.
At first.
Yes, their final game is in Montreal. The Alouettes have already clinched first to the East. Here's Harris going to work again. It's Emelis. Well, those two have had something going tonight. Samuel Emelis with his 6th catch on his 7th target.
Yeah, big season for him. 1,000-yard season for Sam Emelis. And here, Trevor Harris is going to throw him open. See how he curled, and then Trevor Harris said, by his throw, I want you to move over 2 yards. That's how precise this offense is looking right now, and has for the last couple of weeks. Mitch Picton back in the lineup, too, one of the injured guys returning.
I'm going back in. We're going in and out.
Mitch Picton had been out a while, missed 8 weeks, August 17th because of an ankle injury. His last game. And it's Thomas Bertrand-Audin who acquitted himself very nicely with the injuries at running back. Of course, Ouellette had been out. Rock Armstead injured a couple of weeks ago, and Bertrand-Audin ended up with his best game in his young career when he picked up 71 yards against the Ottawa Redblacks.
Raquel Armstead is very close to being healthy. Frankie Hickson went last week, and seeing the impact that Oleg can make. And as he says, his number one priority in the protection of Trevor Harris. And I can think of in this game, almost 3 quarters in now, maybe 1 or 2 hits on Harris all night long.
It's been pretty clean against that Lions defense, quickly getting rid of the football. Keyshawn Johnson with it. That was one thing to revisit earlier, talk to Rick Campbell about his time with Trevor Harris in Ottawa, that always loved about him and still marvels at his ability to get rid of the football quickly.
Well, and that's about recognition, and that's one of the things that made Nathan Rourke so good in 22 was his quick recognition and release speed, just processing quickly and getting the ball out of his hands. But that's one of the reasons that Trevor Harris hasn't been hit in this game. Partly protection, partly with Olet back and how good he is in protecting. But those decisions really help your O-line, making them quickly.
And that first down back to Thomas Bertrand-Udon. A little bit of activity now with the big lead, 28 points.
You can bet Coach Mueller has, Coach Mueller has something off this, because we just wanted to show you the receivers coming down again. When the receivers come down, it's a running play. There's Schaefer Baker coming down. Emelis is as well. But I guarantee you there's a play action off of that, where those 2 receivers come waggling down to the line of scrimmage, and then Trevor Harris pulls it and looks for something deep down the field.
Mark Buehler calling the plays in his first year back home in Regina, the offensive coordinator for Saskatchewan. Quickly again, Keyshawn Johnson. The Riders just keep this drive moving. They needed 6. They got more than that. Another first down late. Just seconds to go until 3/4 time.
A little bit banged up coming out of that one. Keyshawn Johnson, see what happens to him at the end of this. We've seen a couple of those quick slants. He just got twisted a little bit. Came up limping. That's another clean pocket for Trevor Harris,
who's 23 of 28, 252 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. As mentioned, right in his first pass of the game, went over 3,000 yards for the first time as a Rider. Of course, injured so much last season, but in his first team with the Argos, he went well over that, over 4,000 one year. Went to Ottawa. He went over 5,000 with the Red Blacks. He's also gone over 3,000 yards with Edmonton and with Montreal, and now his 5th team that he has surpassed 3,000 yards. And remember, he's at about 3,250 right now. He missed 6 games this season.
Yeah, and if you add up Shea Patterson's numbers, this offense is thrown for around 5,000 yards, or just shy of it.
Success in that passing attack for Saskatchewan. BC 42, final play of the 3rd quarter. All Riders. The toss inside in the sweep to Kean Schaefer-Baker. A touchdown earlier in this half and gets it inside the 35. That's quarter time. Riders in scoring position again. A.J. Ouellette, first game back in a long time. And rare pressure getting to Trevor Harris. The green and white savoring a home playoff day. Up big, heading to the final 15. Through 3 quarters, all Riders going away 36-8. Now, Glenn Britt asked the question to Rick Campbell at halftime if he'd consider Vernon Adams. This, what appears to be a loss by BC, I'm not putting this on Nathan Rourke.
Right.
But you do have Vernon Adams there, hasn't played in a while. Would you consider a change in this final quarter?
I don't think I would, and it's the reason for it is, and it's simple. I think this offense with Nathan Rourke, and he's their guy, needs the reps. I think they need the reps. They need to find a level of confidence, even if it's a couple of solid drives in this final quarter, whether they come away with points or not. And I'm not talking about coming back from 36-8. I just think they need the reps to try and feel like they're progressing. And then they have one more, one more game as a rehearsal before the playoffs, which look like they might be back here.
I was going to say, in 3 weeks' time. In fact, the West semifinal is 3 weeks from today. And there's a good chance it's these two teams at Mosaic. There's A.J. Ouellette back in the game. And taken down there by T.J. Lee. Once again, wearing the Guardian cap. I asked him about that. And he said all he needed to hear was people suggesting he shouldn't wear it. He said, that's good enough for me. I'm wearing it. That's it. With T.J. Lee, you don't tell him what not to do.
Well, and I know you talked to Coach Benavides before the game about T.J. Lee. And there's another guy who's tried the Guardian cap. And
Thomas Bertrand-Audon.
Yeah. You had a good conversation with Coach on T.J. Lee's.
Absolutely. Here's Brett Lothar now from 43, trying to go 6 for 6. Lothar's been just on a tear since week 12. No problem at all. Sweet stroke there and right through. 3 more on the board. We will get to the T.J. Lee story in a moment, I promise. There's Mike Benavides. I was talking to him before the game, as you mentioned, Suits. He was telling me T.J. Lee at a defensive meeting before last week's game, before the game against Calgary, when Ryan Phillips said, anybody want to say anything? Here it is on first down, and William Stanback's going nowhere there. And T.J. Lee stands up and says, yeah, I do. He said, why can't we, as a defense, make big plays? Why can't we score touchdowns? And what happens at a critical point in the fourth quarter against Calgary when the offense had not scored a touchdown?
They scored twice. And he was one of them, and Matthew Betts was the other. So, yeah, that's what the leaders, and it's funny. You say, well, if you just say it, does it mean it automatically happens? No, but T.J. Lee brought it up as, hey, we can make a big play. We're allowed to score on defense. And they did twice in that game.
Up in the air. And it is brought down by BC. It was like a jump ball. Justin McKinnis going up there, but it looked like an opportunity for another Rider interception. Excuse me, that's Aiden Eberhard.
Yeah, Eberhard came up with it, but yeah, and Chase Bryce playing quarterback there through that last throw.
Just talking about quarterback changes, it was Bryce in for Nathan Rourke, not Vernon Adams. And Flint off the punt, so we did make a quarterback change. Mario Alford on that return.
Well, we'll see who they bring out next time the Lions get the ball.
A 31-point difference. Saskatchewan closing in on, at the very least, second place in the West. A reminder that Crave presents the next chapter in the Batman saga, starring Academy Award nominee Colin Farrell. The Penguin, an HBO original limited series, is streaming now only on Crave. And a little known...
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes. I was going to say a little known villain in Gotham City, Turkey Head.
Turkey Head.
Watching the game today. Yes. You know, when Halloween's getting closer too, we got perfectly colored Hulk mask for the Riders. And the way they have flexed their muscles in this game, 39-8. 31-point difference. Saskatchewan. Trevor Harris still in and handing off to A.J. Ouellette. That's another topic. So Chase Bryce had come on for BC, not Vernon Adams for Nathan Rourke and A.J. Ouellette.
Yeah,
good return.
We'll figure out what that decision is about. But meantime, now what the Riders want to do is grind the clock down. Don't take away any. Well, we've seen a lot of points scored in the Canadian Football League, but I don't remember the last 32 points scored in half a quarter.
Yeah. I don't crazy as it sounds. Harris with some heat on him, but he got rid of it. And a first down, Keyshawn Johnson. As they help him up, you've got to ask that question.
Yeah.
Why is he in the game now?
Yeah, well, you know.
I mean, it has been pretty clean for him.
It's going to be a challenge there to see. It might have been the hit on Trevor Harris. We'll see.
But, I mean, do you want to, at this point of the season especially, is there any reason to take a chance?
Yeah, no, it's about that time where Trevor Harris probably should be out.
Saskatchewan is challenging the previous play for roughing the passer. The play will be reviewed.
So let's have another look at the pressure and what the Lions did to Trevor Harris here as he's getting rid of the football. It's the later one, Sione Tehema.
Yeah, I think Tehema to the head was why Corey Mace challenged him.
So command center takes a look and a challenge by Saskatchewan for roughing the passer. CFL Command Center looking over a challenge from Corey Mace at this. Was this roughing the passer? Notably, Sione Tehema coming in second.
Yeah, Pete Robertson makes that hit, but clearly there was contact to the head. Now, he's getting hit into him, but I think that's roughing the passer.
Corey Mace had issued the challenge. Here's the result.
After review, we have roughing the passer, BC number 0. 15-yard penalty, first down.
So it is Tehema, not Robertson, the initial one coming in on Harris that is flagged for it. And Shea Patterson comes in. So just as we were talking about, when you're up by 31, a little over 11 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and the playoffs are looming, you don't want to take any chances.
Yeah, and I think that hit on Trevor Harris was the eye-opener for Corey Mace. He went, oh, yeah, let's get him out.
Shea Patterson had 6 starts while Trevor Harris was out with a knee injury, at a record of 2-3-1. So a lot of experience. And I remember talking to Corey Mace, it's A.J. Ouellette in the carry, but talking to Corey Mace about this when Patterson was in the midst of it, getting all that experience, that you never want to lose your number 1 QB. The silver lining early in the season is getting your backup some reps.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, he played against the Lions. It was a loss, but was 17 of 25, 278. Trevor Harris wasn't available for that game due to that injury. Did not throw a touchdown in it and 1 interception, but he had 3 big plays of over 30 yards in that game against the Lions. So
Shea Patterson flags out on the run. Hladek's chasing him. He just throws it up. Johnson caught it, brought it down. Said the flags are already out.
yeah, I think it's going to be holding. And Shea Patterson got outside there. Looked like there might have been a holding.
In his time in as starter, he threw for nearly 1,600 yards, 6 touchdowns, 5 intercepted.
There are 2 fouls on the previous play. Offside, Saskatchewan number 89. That penalty is declined. Holding, Saskatchewan number 45. That penalty is also declined. It'll be 3rd down.
Yeah, 2-3-1. But, you know, when you're a receiver in this situation, penalty flags or not, just finish the play. Keep working on good habits. Watch Keyshawn Johnson here. With that. Even though he's out of bounds and there were 2 penalty flags.
Hey, but
look at that.
Work on your catching, though.
Love it.
Not a one-handed grab, but certainly one-hand assisted. He brought that down. Korsak to punt it. Terry Williams. And they got him hemmed in deep after a 46-yard punt. So Chase Bryce coming back on for Nathan Rourke. Not Vernon Adams, as mentioned again. He'd come on the previous possession. Bryce has thrown a touchdown pass in his brief career with the Lions. 12 of 14, 132. Has thrown a touchdown pass. By the way, he's the most recent Lions quarterback to throw a TD pass. For Nathan Rourke, he hasn't done it since their victory in Montreal. That's 5 weeks ago. And VA started the season, was on an MOP clip early on in the season, before the Lions started to falter a little bit after a 5-1 start.
Well,
there to McInnes.
Trying to figure out, you know, Rick Campbell's mindset here and why we're not seeing Vernon Adams. And part of it is that goes all the way back to when they signed Nathan Rourke. And when they signed him back, and basically made him the starter. At that time, Vernon Adams was injured, so it was a no-brainer decision.
Rice throwing again.
Good throw.
Yeah, nice throw. Hums it in there for McInnes.
But the decision was to get Rourke back in the starting lineup. VA was injured at the time, went 2 games on that injured list, then came off and was available, but now Rourke was established back as the starter. And they go in Victoria and they won that game against Ottawa on the island, and then went to Montreal and won that game. So that's how that was set up. But to go back to that, Justin McInnes looks a little shaken up after that hit. But after that, he said, and it's been very clear, he wasn't in the bring back Rourke unless Vernon Adams was part of this whole process. That he was going to be, the two of them were going to be their quarterbacks to go after a championship in Vancouver, and they still want to do that. So he's basically resting his 2 starters.
Right.
And that's the way he thinks of them. Now, Rourke's the guy, don't get me wrong, but in his mind, and he's been asked a couple times at halftime what Britt asked him, and he said, no, we're sticking with Rourke.
So bottom line, the third stringer Price is in. And that one, William Stanback's had a little difficulty getting a handle on the football in this. Thinking back to their opening possession where it went in and out of his hands and it led to a Rider touchdown. Falls incomplete.
Yeah, things kind of snowballed on this BC Lion team on the road, and they're going to use this as a lesson learned before they come back here possibly for the semifinal.
Well, they know, barring a miracle comeback now, they're on the road quite possibly here in 3 weeks' time and not going to get a home playoff date. Their final game at home will be next week, finishing off the regular season against the Montreal Alouettes. Another completion, Bryce to Aiden Eberhardt.
So Rick Campbell is resting his 2 starters and playing Bryce in a game that he doesn't want to get either one of those guys nicked, like, follow through with a thumb on a helmet or something like that. He doesn't want either of them to be injured going into that playoff round. I wouldn't be surprised to see, Chase Bryce in that final game, depending on what happens.
In the last 2 years, the Lions hosted the West semifinal and won it and went on to face the Bombers in Winnipeg in the West final. Keon Hatcher now, another first down.
But when we talked about it at the turn, the third quarter, this offense hasn't been in a groove yet.
No.
Since his return. You mentioned 3 and 4. I'm talking about Rourke. Since his return, they haven't been in a groove. So to me, some more reps to try to find that is important. But the risk of injury in a game that's lost right now outweighs those reps in the mind of Rick Campbell, clearly.
So Chase Bryce staying in, and the Riders happy to give up yardage in front of them. There's another case of it, Eberhardt, but the clock will just keep ticking down, and it's going to take BC a while to work their way down the field. 6.5 minutes to go, and commanding 31-point lead for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Yeah, Corey Mace defensively now is going to, have his guys play a little loose, and they're going to play off the ball. They don't want to let anybody in behind them deep, and then they'll rally to make the tackle.
Riders 20 points off turnovers. Riders hosted the West Final in 2019, played against the Bombers in Winnipeg in the West Final in 21, and then the last 2 years finished at 6 and 12 and out of the playoffs. Back in it this year. And Bryce on the run there, and he gets tackled by Benoit Marion, just recently added to the Rough Riders up front. He started the season in Hamilton, was let go by the Ticats, and Corey Mace had coached him with the Argos the previous couple of years.
So here's another thing we can touch on now in this lopsided game. Who's your vote for MOP right now out of the West?
I think you're looking at him, and I say that out of tons of respect for Brady Oliveira and the run he's been on. I just think all season long, Roland Milligan has just been outstanding. And just last week got his 8th interception to lead the way in the CFL. That's a tough call, though, and I know there'll be a lot of people talking about in the West, Oliveira, and then you got Tyrese Beverett in the East. Montreal and Darnell Sankey. You got some good defensive talent that should be considered at the very least.
Well, that to me is a factor, and a big major factor. Special teams tackles, and he leads the CFL. No player in the history of the league is led in special teams tackles and in a major defensive category, and he is doing that right now. Although Tyrell Ford is close, and A.J. Allen is 2 special teams tackles behind Roland, so he's still got some work to do to lead in those categories.
Pressure coming. Bryce gets away from it. And down it goes. And lots of coverage there. A turnover on downs again for BC. 6th time they've turned over the football. Half of those coming in turnovers on downs. Riders 31 points up for Corey Mace. Finishing in the top 2 in the West. They know that.
Thanksgiving, everybody out there. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving. Hope you guys enjoy some great food, some great football, and coming up some playoff football. Go Riders.
Trevor Harris, thank you for that. Yes, happy Thanksgiving, Canada.
That's how you talk into the camera when you're up by 31 and barely got hit in the game. I mean, he did take a hit when Corey Mace brought him out, but he was clean pretty much all game long. I think 1 sack for the BC Lions, but on again.
Signing on with the Riders for 2023. Got injured early in the season and knocked out for the rest of it because of a knee injury, and what turned out to be a lost season for Saskatchewan. They only won 6 games as it turned out. So you know that this season is meaning that much more to him, and then got hurt against Hamilton in week 3. Went on the 6th game, came back, and he has been outstanding since coming back for the Roughriders.
Well, he had 271 tonight, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 25 of 30. And if you go back in his last 2 games, he threw for over 670 yards in those 2. 271 tonight. He's at 900 plus in the last 3 games.
Not bad at all. Shea Patterson. That one falls incomplete.
But it's, to me, it's not just about the numbers, because we've seen other quarterbacks in the league put up big numbers, not win. But it's about what he brings, that veteran ability to dissect a defense. And Ryan Phillips is scratching his head right now. I mean, Ryan Phillips, the defensive coordinator for the Lions, is going, what do we have to do in the playoff game to stop this guy? Because we played a little man and he beat us. We played zone and he picked it apart. There's that steady hand in there as a veteran quarterback that can read defenses as good as anyone in the league.
Been in the CFL for 12 years, starting in Toronto, and several stops along the way. And of course, Zach taking his time before punting this away. Barely 3 minutes to go. And this one, Terry Williams breaks through and gets tackled there by C.J. Avery, who had a pick earlier in this game. Well, 2 of the teams Trevor Harris has played for are the Ottawa Redblacks and the Montreal Alouettes, and they're meeting Thanksgiving Monday. Wonder if they'll have a turkey ready to go in Montreal. They usually do. So,
is it with Dwayne, or you got Dwayne?
It'll be with Dwayne.
Okay, well then I guarantee you they'll be
sharpen up the knives. Beautiful look at the moon, but the Redblacks with the Argos putting some heat on them. Ottawa's hadn't been in the playoffs since 2018 when Trevor Harris was their quarterback. And so they are back in the playoffs, but will they get a home playoff date? The Argos moved ahead by a point in the standings after their victory in Winnipeg last night. They're in second right now. Chase Bryce still at quarterback, dumps it off for Keon Hatcher. Jaden Dahlke grabs a jersey and gets him out of bounds. So that one is coming up on Monday. And the Alouettes, even though they've clinched first in the East Division, Jason Moss has made it clear, we're not taking our foot off the gas right now. They lost that one in Toronto a couple of weeks ago, and coming off the bye with 3 games to go. and taking on the BC Lions at Vancouver next week. Looks like Saskatchewan going to wrap up a home playoff day. 3-minute warning.
CFL Thanksgiving weekend is brought to you by Purelator.
I think our election desk is awarding this one to Saskatchewan, up 31. So, Riders 9-7-1, 1 point behind Winnipeg, each with a bye next week, each finishing their seasons in week 21. In the final weekend, it'll come down to that. Winnipeg's in Montreal, Saskatchewan's at home against the Calgary Stampeders. Chase Bryce, the BC Lions, completed to Kieran Poisson. Catch his first of the night up near the 40, but BC is now assured of third place. They already had a playoff spot, and they know they're going to be going on the road now for the playoffs to more likely hear the Mosaic. Possibility of Winnipeg if the Bombers lose in Montreal and Saskatchewan wins at home against Calgary. You never know. The Riders could suddenly find themselves with a bye into the final.
Well, the Bombers have control.
Yes.
They win their game, and they're in first place in the West. The Riders could win, it doesn't matter if the Bombers win. So they have control. But the Riders have a home playoff game.
Yes, that's guaranteed. And
that's guaranteed. And that's earned in a game that they created it 5 turnovers, or have I missed one?
I think it's 6 now.
It's 6 now.
With 3 of them turnovers on down.
So they're a plus 25. 5 turnovers. They're now looking at a 4-game win streak with their quarterback on point. Not a bad returner we're looking at right there either. The defense intact with an MOP candidate in the secondary.
218, high throw for Hatcher, incomplete. And yes, it's not over yet for Saskatchewan in the hopes of first place, but you're right, it's in Winnipeg's hands. And if Winnipeg does indeed wrap up first place with a win in Montreal in 2 weeks' time, then these two teams will meet again right here in 3 weeks' time, 3 weeks from today.
What up, man? Great dub, Dub City.
And there'll be a lot of talk about, this game and how much, it will affect the next game. And, first of all, that A.J. Allen play to start really was a difference maker out of the gate. Get the fans involved. But it's a whole new beast, and both teams will try and learn and adjust from. And here's that return we talked about.
Ariel Alford.
And they both have good ones.
Yeah.
You get the feeling that Alford's almost due for a big return. Lions got to figure out how to slow Trevor Harris. And, for the BC Lions now, if they want to get to the cup in their backyard, they're going to have to play great run defense, because whether it's Saskatchewan and Ouellette or Armstead or a combination of them in the playoffs, see what happens there. And or Winnipeg with Brady Oliveira, and as you just mentioned, the leading rusher in the league. If you don't play good run defense, the Lions won't be around long. It'll be a quick out for them. But you're going to have to play run defense and have to figure out these turnovers, because you lose the turnover ratio, you're pretty much guaranteed to lose the game.
And the Lions can do no better than 500. They'd fall to 8-9 after this. They finish up against the Alouettes next week at BC Place, but it'll be the first time that they haven't had a winning record since 2021. It's Rick Campbell's first year as a head coach in BC. Dreams of playing a playoff game in Vancouver, but if that's to happen, it's going to be the Grey Cup. And they will have a whole lot of work to do, won't they? Having to win on the road, and probably here or Winnipeg, well, both cities. It's just a matter of work. But a tough road ahead for the BC Lions and Nathan Rourke now.
I think most people that have seen Nathan athletically, his work ethic, he'll get there. He will get there. And we've seen many a player go down south, come back and take a little time to get back into the into the swing of things in the CFL with the difference in rules and the nuance and angles, field size, all of it.
And of course, Zach, the Aussie booting it down to the BC5 and Terry Williams.
But the Lions can match the running game. I mean, with William Stanback running the ball, you're talking about the offenses in the West right now. Brady Oliveira, A.J. Ouellette, William Stanback. That's an all-star group. So all three teams can run it. I'm now switching to the defense. Which team is most suited to stop it? Because that's going to be the key. I mean, how many teams have gone to play against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and said, our number one goal is to stop Brady Oliveira, and none of them can do it. Although the Argos weren't bad last night.
As close as any team recently.
Exactly.
That way, their defense played well. Put some pressure on Zach Collaros as well. By the way, as mentioned, sorting out home playoff dates. We know Saskatchewan has one and Winnipeg has one. It's a matter of who finishes first, who finishes second. The Alouettes in the East have first place wrapped up, and A.J. Ouellette's old team, the Argos, now second, 1 point ahead of Ottawa. And those two teams, the Red Blacks and Argos, play next week. And what'll be big to decide a home playoff date in the East. Still some things up for grabs. Not the playoff spots. They're all spoken for.
William Stanback had 8 touches in this game and had a couple of dropsies under the backfield.
One that was really costly right at the start. Right, the opening drive, the first pass by Nathan Rourke.
But they'll flush this one and move on, get ready for a road run to try and get back home. In the meantime,
Marcus Sales doing some lobbying there for number 0 Roland Milligan.
My daddy, my grandma, all my people back home, I appreciate y'all.
Well, I hope people don't think that when we talk about players and we tell them how good they are and how they deserve to be in the MOP conversation, it's not to downgrade any other player.
No.
And Brady Oliveira is going to get some votes. He's had a heck of a year and leading the league in rushing.
Oh, Oliveira's definitely emerged. He'll be one of the front runners for sure. Just in a year where there have been some solid defensive players too. By the way, I believe it's been exactly 10 years ago. Former BC Lineout, Saskatchewan linebacker, but then with BC by the name of Solomon Elamimian.
Yes.
Won the MOP. A rarity for a defensive player to even be considered for it, let alone win. He's an outlier there. This is it. This big meeting between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and BC Lions goes only one way. To Trevor Harris and the home side. Will they meet again 3 weeks from now? All we can definitively say is if they do, it'll be right here at Mosaic Stadium. The Lions finish third in the West. The Roughriders can do no worse than second place.
Congratulations to Darian Durant and Roy Shivers on the night that they go into the Plaza of Honor. The Riders dominate and clinch a home playoff game.
Happy Thanksgiving weekend, Canada. We're not done yet. We'll finish up the holiday weekend Monday. And a big meeting for the Ottawa Red Blacks against the first place Montreal Alouettes in the East. It was a turnover leading with a Rider touchdown in the opening minute. They never looked back. Saskatchewan wins. Thanks for watching and good night from Regina.